Hands up.
What a waste of a set.
Yeah.
Absolute waste.
Bet 26. $65. $220. 55 raised. 220.
What a scam.
Scam game.
Just a nut flush.
Just enough flush.
It wasn't a full house.
Yeah. Sorry, Rob. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I wasn't angry.
Smashing your phone down.
Have a crack.
That's the
Negative
worst.
1 point.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Negative one.
I reckon you ought to bounce it off the field.
As there is a dealer change at the table, and
an idea
there is
there, you know?
also
Yeah.
a couple of commentators into the booth as well, as we welcome Catherine Young to the table as our feature table dealer, and we are here bringing you coverage of the grind. 25 left, 20 pay. Gonna have about $45,000 up top here. I'll get all that information for you. But this is our feature table, and we will have a redraw at 16, but 5 off the money. So expect things to go a little slow, but when Naj is on the table, probably don't expect that at all. As Liam Murray, I welcome you into the booth, and before I do, I should say happy birthday.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, no, it's been a pretty great day. Just had a day with the fam. Unfortunately, the grind will have to wait for our next series before I can min cash it.
I'm going to bring up a couple of hands that we've seen you play during the week, but I might do that a bit later when there's more people listening. You know,
Okay.
I don't want to bring up the stone bubble with the Goliath, but you know I'm going to.
Yep.
So maybe not. Maybe you saved yourself $1,250.
Yeah, I mean, are you inferring that I should maybe retire? Is that what you're saying?
Double me up, Rob. Come on.
As Spanner has just whacked the Jack 10, as
20% good enough.
we are at 612.
No.
So he's
Just about. What's that? It's just under 20.
16, 17 bigs.
Yeah.
I saw Spano up at Empire playing the mixed games, and he was being a feature of our stream in the Goliath as well.
Amazing. I was chatting to Spano, and he was saying that he's been playing Hold'em for many years, and one of the things that Spano has basically said is that he just is absolutely in love with mixed games. He's only been playing them for probably the last 6 to 12 months, I believe, and he was telling me about his in the money rate, and it makes me want to play mixed games if that's what Spano's achieving. But you can't have the success that he's had in life without having a fair old brain. So I imagine that.
Everyone's been saying that about Spano, and he just keeps being deep in huge events.
Yeah.
He was, I think he's third in the 5K recently.
Yeah,
and he's just always deep in everything.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Dave. Much appreciated, mate.
Am I allowed to ask how old you are or not? No.
No. Today is my 36th birthday. I reckon I've probably added 15 years to my life in the last 6 months. So we'll wind it back, and I'll be 21 again.
Yeah. How much sleep do you think you get with? How old is Nash now?
Nash is my 18-month-old son.
18 months.
Yeah, so we've been really lucky. When Nash was young, we were fortunate enough to get put onto a sleep coach. So essentially, they just come in and give you a set of instructions as to how to get your baby into a good routine. And mate, to be honest, to all the parents out there, I'm really sorry, but Nash probably gets between 10 to 12 hours of sleep a night.
Oh my God, stop it.
He's
just lie to us.
Yeah,
just
actually,
lie.
the tired look that I have is not my health. It's actually just my son who's just awake all the time. So, no, but very lucky that Nash is a happy, healthy kid and gets plenty of sleep. Taylor, my wife, and I, we take turns hopping up early with him, and then the other one will get a bit of a sleep in. But the older he gets, the less that sleep in happens.
I don't want to interject to your story, but Naj has Ace Jack here. Does that bring up any memories?
I'm just gonna duck out. No, look, Nash is a pretty good sport. We as Braden had alluded to, unfortunately, the Goliath the other day, I was the short stack, and Naj was building piles and piles of chips.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
And it was just all day, which is it's a tough thing. Unfortunately, I busted with Ace Jack offsuit versus Naj's Ace Jack offsuit with a flush against my nothing. So
a little bit of interaction here. Naj with the gutter, backdoor flush draw. Justin top pair. Hasn't checked yet. Oh no, sorry, he has checked. Naj is a bit small, so Justin comes with call.
Justin had quite a lot of play with Naj the other day in the Goliath as well. So I imagine he's probably going to chuck the seatbelt on here and check call. This is probably one of those turns that I think he's just going to keep the seatbelt on. But why would the best player in Australia decide to? Oh,
well, as he backdoors into a straight. And it looked like he checked, but see what happens now. Justin decides to bet. You wouldn't think there are too many eights he has. Maybe 9-8, 10-8.
Yeah. I mean, Jack-8 is the natural one, right? Like the straight draw on the flop, but it's probably...
No, snap bins that one.
You and I were talking about Naj's play earlier, and he looks like he's just up to no good all the time, but he is, whatever he's doing is definitely working.
One thing I noticed that a lot of people I was talking to people on the table and whatnot, and they didn't seem to realise how large he was c-betting, especially in 3-bet pots. Like he was c-betting 50, 60%.
Yep.
A lot of the time, in just in a heads-up spot when he's in position, c-betting half. People, most of the people that are playing these 1K plus aren't doing that.
No.
When I say most of them, I would say nearly Naj could be the only one, but he'd be 3-betting whoever calls in
Yep.
position. There's 1.2 in the pot. He just c-bet 600k. Like, no one's doing that stuff.
No, and that's probably a more of a theory-based thing, right? Like, Naj is deviating away from what a lot of people are studying. So he knows all of the theory,
Yeah.
but he's not going to do it because he knows that everyone else is.
Yeah.
So, like, if we all played the same, it'd be a boring old game, as they say. But Naj has definitely got his own brand of poker, and good luck replicating it. It's a tough one.
I think that the stream definitely helps his image for sure because, obviously the 7-4 hand was bonkers. And, Jen raised under the gun. He called under the gun 1, 10-8-0, raising 10-7-0, King 2. Just all these hands, like, mind you, he won 90% of those hands as well. And I did notice he usually tends to pick like a high card as well.
I think it's just probably Naz's experience of being comfortable post-flop. Like, Naz has a background in cash games, and, for anyone who's played a lot of cash, and particularly if you've played with Naz, that he is the life of the game. He's playing every pot, he's in there, he's squeezing, he's doing it all. But with that experience comes an incredible level of confidence to just play post. Right? Like, if I know that for example, if Naj knows that I'm opening under the gun pretty tight, well, if the flop comes for me, he's probably just going to get away from it. But if he knows that it's coming for him, and I don't have much of it, then he's going to take advantage of that too.
Well, I mean, that just happens so often.
What, that I miss?
No. I mean, he'd just get to the feature table and he'd have, 50 start stacks with 30 left. And
I had a chat to Naj the other day during the Goliath, and we were both still in, maybe 40 left, and I just said, well, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to have them all or none. And he was like, yep, that's probably it.
You put him on a timer as well.
As much waiting as there is in the prize pool up top, the incentive is to just go for it.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to have a failed bluff and be out of the tournament. But when it comes off, what happens?
Which is interesting here. He's 15 big blinds, 5 off the money is not a spot in which Naj would usually find himself.
It's quite interesting because Naj called me earlier and I was like, Liam, I've got one of your stacks. What do I do? So what do we got? We've got a hand developing. Rob Kwan opens the hijack with Queen Jack suited. Justin, his best mate, calls with King 8 suited on the button. And Corey Van Jay has Ace 5 suited in the big blind. Probably going to find a call from Corey, I imagine. Yep, as we expect. We're just waiting for Catherine to do her magic. Corey flops gin. Ace 5-3, Ace of Hearts 3-5 of spades. Corey having Ace 5 of diamonds, and no one else having a flush draw. But we'll see what happens. Check, check. Of course, the 2 of Hearts brings a flush draw for Justin. Might see Corey with a bet here, I would imagine, to try and get some protection from his hand or even some value.
We saw Corey lose a very large pot just as we were coming on to the stream.
The hand where
the Jack 9
Rob
hand.
had the flush,
Rob and Justin actually good mates, or did you?
No, they are.
They are.
Yeah, I promise you. Yeah, that wasn't what you're alluding to, Braden. No,
They are hearts.
Hearts. Corey having diamonds, so Justin with the king high flush draw. To a turn, Miss Young. To the river.
5
please.
of hearts.
Don't do that.
Oh, 6 of spades, no good.
Braden, been a while since you've been on the felt yourself. You missing it, or how are you feeling?
I mean, you do say that. I fired WPT last week in full nearly.
Oh, well,
It was the 10K main event.
I only know of APT poker, so I'm not aware of WPT.
No, we are allowed to talk about other operators and streams. Poor Matty didn't have a good series, unfortunately, even though he wasn't there. No, so I actually, when I got back to when I played everything at WPT, and I hadn't played for a while. I was quite excited. You know, just riffling the chips in your hand. First bullet in the main event was deep. And then I ran Ace King into Gary's aces in a squeeze spot for like 400 big blinds.
Good luck folding that to Gary.
It was a squeeze spot as well. It was the most disgusting spot ever. I'd just flown in and I'd had piles, and then me and Peter were staying across the road, my partner. And I just texted her, I'm like, oh, I'm in for a long night, don't worry about it. Because I had like 150 bigs. And then I ran Ace King into Gary's aces. I probably could have flattered pre, but whatever. Yeah. And I walked back over and I walked through the door and I was like, it's just it's the same old stuff. Yeah. It's the same old stuff. I don't want to be here again. So much rather be up here commentating. But
for those that don't know, Peter's Braden's partner at home, and she's a fan of Braden's poker, but she doesn't play herself. So, you know, if she's hearing that he's going to have a long night and then she sees him walking in 5 minutes later, it's probably a tough one to explain.
It was. I had to quickly just describe what Gary Lim was like and why I had to get in Ace King for 200 bigs, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's going to show up with the Queen 5-0 a lot. Blind versus blind, Corey limping the 7-8-0, and we have Spano with looks to be 2.5 big blind open.
Gary's such a funny boy. So I was walking back to my apartment across the road and I just saw a notification on my phone. Unlucky, mate. I was like, hey, mate, don't talk to me.
Yeah, stop it. Block me.
He's a good kid.
Corey finding some connectivity on the flop with a double gut shot, a 5 or a 10 making him a straight, and Spano with an overpair, of course.
I would call that open-ended. What would you reckon? What would you think?
Yeah, look, as you commentators would say, it looks like an open-ended straight draw to me. Double gut shot, what a term.
That's Uber back to the hotel, no?
King of spades on the turn, might slow them both down.
That's one Macca's.
Jack of clubs on the river, improving Rob to 3 of a kind and leaving Corey with 8 high.
You guys look at the board?
Not now.
Is that an all-in?
Looks like it.
2x pot. As Corey jabs 2x pot all in on the river into Spano's flop set. And I dare say, he's a rivered set, I dare say on nearly any other card that could have worked.
Yep, I would agree with that. Unfortunately, you can't expect people to fold sets too often, but how is Corey to know?
Oh my
Absolutely.
God. Oh, my bad luck, I hit a set.
On the river.
It's unlike Naj to dig the needle in after a big pot.
That also could have been a function of us being close to the money, 5 off now, top 20 pay.
Yep.
$46,000 to the winner.
Fairly significant ICM implication there.
Gave him a chance to bluff.
Targeting the wrong bloke though.
Yeah, there are some people that are unbluffable. We can't fault Corey at all for pulling the trigger. Corey had about 700-800 when we started, when we first walked through the door, so he's taken a couple of tough ones. But
as we've seen before, Corey knows his way around 15 bigs, so he's going to be.
If only I was crushing as hard
he's going to be
in the
fine.
actual game.
what's next for you? Will you go to APO?
Yeah, so a week and a bit at home, and then down to APO in Sydney. Planning to play the 1500 and the main event, and there's a couple of days break in the schedule with some of the super high buy-ins, and also the mixed game stuff. Unfortunately, I've not played mixed game before, and you can't get me, boys. I'm not going to play it now, so I'll be heading home and then heading back for the main. I have already discussed winning the main with my coach, my son, of course. He's pretty excited for the APO trophies. He's seen them online. He's ready and raring to.
Are you gonna have a crack in any of the mixed games? Like, hold on, as I want to interject there, as Corey has jammed 15 on the button-ish, and Naj has called something, and we're about to find out what that is.
The boys just said
yeah.
natural 9, yeah.
Natural 9, ace 8, and And it's not a very Naj flop.
Is it a Naj River though?
We're about to find out. It's not. And Naj is eliminated. 4 off the money. We'll say goodbye to Najim.
Yeah, so the game's done now, right?
Yeah, finished.
Such a good sport.
25. Everybody owes. Everybody owes.
Hey guys.
Pay up.
Put on the bill.
Gambling without.
I know asking people to pay up like he needs it.
Yeah. Hey Rob, do you?
Yeah.
My mum needs a new house. Do you mind buying her one? Mum will be filthy. There's nothing wrong with their current house.
He's such a good fella. As we've got Corey basically doubling up. He must have only had Naj covered by 10 or 20k at most. So will you ever have a look at potentially dipping the toes into some mixed games?
Mate, to be honest, like for a long time, I guess life's a bit different now, right? Like, I was spending a lot of time at home with my family. Hopefully, hopefully spend a lot of time with Nash as he grows up, sort of, sneaking in some coaching with him or something like that for footy or whatever it is. So, I obviously love, no limit hold'em tournaments, and I've been beating my head against the brick wall for quite a while. I don't know if I'm that keen to go and dump buy-in after buy-in to Simon and his mates in the mixed games.
It's all the same people all the time.
But yeah, no, look, some of my mates, Nathaniel Hutton, Lachlan Crilly, those guys have really found a love for mixed games.
It's great.
They are some of the toughest hold'em players in the country.
I might just interject here, Liam, as Justin has taken the 7-2 suited in +1 to the streets here.
We don't hate it.
And Corey comes with call with Kings. We are 3 off the money.
Yeah, I don't
so
we've got 2 players coming up here.
Rob asking if we're going to get another player. With 23 left, I think we probably should have one coming in.
This is unreal.
Oh, fireworks, Liam.
Yes. I don't mind a pair of queens myself. They are one of my most common hands that I'm all in with. So
I think
Corey's probably going to find a double here.
5 raises, 137.
Robert's just licking his lips.
Yeah. And I mean, the poor fella, Corey's had some incredible foresight here.
140k, pretty big size.
Huge.
And the 7-2 suited is one for the stream.
Corey will back jam, I imagine. No, actually, that's probably too big.
This is really, I'm really interested to see what
how Corey plays this. What's he got? He got about 35 lines?
Yep.
Not
so
quite.
it's 6k, 12k. So I think that if we can spin that camera back over to Corey, I hope, as we really, this could be a good advertisement for Implied Odds Poker Coaching to see how it looks like he's. Okay, so he's thrown in a time bank. I apologise, we're trying to guess the action because we can't see. Really interested to see how Corey decides to play this, as he's looking around, and the reason for that is we are 3 off the money, so he's looking to see if there's any recent eliminations or if the board's been updated. A back jam is extremely strong here versus this really big size.
Huge, right?
But I just also potentially don't see another way, as he goes to 4-bet not all in, leaving himself with what looks to be 10k behind.
10K, yeah.
And it's all in call. No getting away from that for Robert, as Corey's going to put his last 10k in, and he will be at risk, but it is just under a million chip pot, and 80% of the time Corey Van Jay is going to be walking away with it. Just a stone cold cooler for Robert.
As safe as they come for Corey.
He's got some clubs.
10-5-5.
he's got some clubs and they do come in on the turn. You do see.
On the bubble is the clean
The only reason that club came on the turn is because you said it was safe. As CVJ now spins up that 180k all the way to 930 in about an orbit.
I would just like it to be known that when Corey had 180k, I said he'll be fine.
Yes, you did. You did. There is your exact words.
Yep. Corey, I'd like a free 1% sweat. Thank you.
There you go. There's a good advertisement for his coaching business, Implied Odds Poker Coaching. He's got that patch on there. If you're impressed by CVJ's play, go check that one out. Very competitive industry currently, poker coaching. There's not a shortage of them at all.
Yeah, Murray's Mechanics about to begin. As we are joined by, I believe is it Elizabeth?
It is. It
and
is
she
Elizabeth.
has piles.
Okay. If you do remember, as our resident social media and photographer, Jamie, is helping Liz to her seat. Liz, and I'm not speaking out of school here, I know she doesn't mind because she's very proud that she's 80 and she can still compete. So Elizabeth is 80. She travels around in her van.
Not just compete, like she's not just making up the numbers.
She came second in this tournament last year to Dipper.
Unreal. And it's, it's nothing to be ashamed of coming second at Dipper.
No. No.
Many have tried.
And she ran two really big bluffs on that FT, and I'm not sure if we still have that footage. Maybe it's something we could play in the break, I'm not sure, but I did do an interview with Elizabeth when she came second in the grind, and she's certainly a character, and actually that's probably an understatement, but
extremely good sport.
Yeah,
just a pure fan of the game.
It looks like she's got about 800k. Oh my god, she's got over a mil.
Yeah, she's got piles, 1.041. So, what? Well over 70 bigs.
Well, I always punt in spots like that.
My maths is so poor. She got 1.041.
Player, I can just get away from it. No, that's not that player. I'm just getting away from it.
How can you say that shit?
So we must have lost someone else. Oh, yep, we have. So 22. We are 2 off the money, and it looks like. We could be coming up to a break. I'm not too sure. Just a reminder, we do commentate this to you off the delay, so we see the information as you see it. It's been great having you up here, Liam. What's on for the night?
Couple of my friends still in the grind, so looking forward to railing them. But came in to play the 450 freeze out. Found a bag yesterday in the main, so coming back tomorrow for day 2 of that.
How many big blinds are we working with for tomorrow?
I think it'll be about 40. I think we'd come back to maybe 355, and I bagged 231k. So plenty to work with tomorrow.
Absolute piles to work with.
To be honest, it's probably too many chips for me. So what I might do is bluff them off early and pedal 12 bigs until the min cash.
I think that's not something that you want to...
Braden, we've got a hand developing right now.
Oh, we do too. I was about to give you a recap from around the room, but that can wait, as we could be on the stone bubble after Peter busts here. 22 left. I don't want to call that in, but it's not looking good.
So we've seen Peter open to 35k with pocket jacks, and Mr. Spano has found the 3-bet with an ace and an ace.
Pot's already extremely inflated. I know this is always going in, but after Peter's raised 3x and Spano's hit him with the 3x 3-bet, usually this would be a 3-bet of 60k, but Peter's come with call, and he's going to give himself a way to get out of it. As sub 20, I would have thought this one would be going in on the ace-high flop.
I mean, he's going to escape, right?
Peter's going to escape. There's no doubt about it. It's the reason why he's called. Has that backdoor flush draw, but
Is there 65 in there already?
Rob has top set. And we're telling you right now, Liam, I'd be out of the tournament.
Yep.
Sub 20, I'd really find it hard to not get jacks in, even if it's off the money. But that's why Peter and Rob are down there, and we're up here as Pete comes with check.
I mean, Spano's really got the flop locked up, but doesn't. Yeah, I was just going to say he might deviate with a little bit of.
This is an old school check.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much every player in the room would come with 30k as Pete decides to lead for 50.
That's why we check back the flop, Spano.
Rob sits back in his chair, might have given off a live tell there. We'll keep that one in our minds, but pretending to look inquisitive, but all he's thinking of is Vegas and the Mirage.
Hopefully Pete doesn't end.
It's a heart as well.
Okay.
Queen of Hearts, but I think
So probably just go check bet fold, I would imagine.
I'd love to see Rob use a really small size here once it checks over to him.
To get just a little bit of value.
Got to think as well, what are we targeting? Like, this is a really...
Please don't. Yeah,
check.
Good boy. Good boy. What are we gonna go with?
Have a look at Rob here. He's got to go. He's got to come with something small.
Spano looks like he's just lost his puppy. I don't like this hand at all.
Who would you least like to be in a...
He's going to bet a size in which I think leaves 8k behind. No, all into call 160. And Peter, with some old school play there with the jacks, may have well saved him $1,250 because we are 2 off the money. He takes the cautious route and he stays alive, Lam.
If you're interested, Peter also is a poker coach, as well as Corey.
And you can see Liz with her variance poker clothing, the shirt and the hat. I had Shelley Pulley in here for an hour yesterday. Hadn't actually ever met Shelley until I had her in the booth yesterday. What an incredible ambassador for the game.
She was a guest on the Poker Pulse podcast
she mentioned
recently,
that as
and she talked about how she became. I'm sure you mentioned it. I haven't heard the chat with Shelley yet, but she has a really interesting story, and she's just such a great ambassador for the game.
She actually went into that a little bit. Probably didn't have the best of it growing up. Came over here with nothing.
Yep.
Had no idea she was from England. She has a very strong Australian accent. But, so she really is. She's very active on socials, and she's started her clothing brand.
Yep.
And that is Variance Poker, which you'll see on Liz wearing.
Yep. It's pretty crazy. There's some handsome blokes in the room, but I don't know if you've seen Shelley's partner, Adam. He's a good-looking fella.
Is he?
Oh,
I
mate.
haven't
He's wasted in poker, I tell you. He's wasted.
We actually did talk a lot about what it's
How
like
handsome he
being.
is?
No, she didn't bring that up. Maybe she's.
I tell him every time I see him.
guns are better than yours.
Gotta hype your mates up,
We, in all seriousness, we spoke a lot about what it's like the benefits of being in like a poker relationship. She's had some scores where she's won 30 or 40k for coming second or third, and obviously it's very hard for people outside poker to understand. That can be really disappointing.
Yeah.
And she comes home to someone who understands that and gets that. You can be upset when things happen, and when you're explaining, like for example, in my position, I would just come home and say, unlucky, or things didn't work out. Shelley can go home and say, this is what happened. This is why I did this, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would say there's pros and cons to like both of those things as well, as long as you've got as long as you're managing that in a healthy way. But they seem to really, really embrace it.
Yeah, and I mean, I've spoken about it so much that, I'm super lucky to have found my wife when I did. And in the sense that my wife and I have been together for 4 years, and you know, her support and her encouragement has often got me through some really tough points of a tournament. You know, like I'll message her and I'll tell her, hey, I just copped a really bad beat, and she'll be like, that's all right, you've been here before, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, like she's super encouragement. Encouraging. Oh wow, okay.
That's it. It's Peter who dodged the jacks versus aces. Is
You're not
going
on the
to
bubble.
get
What are you
it in.
talking about?
Just
Ace
Justin's
king.
queen 4.
Yeah.
Two off the money. So
You're
always
not
going
all
down
in.
this way.
Yep. Huge amount of ICM pressure on Peter here, but look, I
Yeah,
can't
that's
imagine
what
he's
you wanna
folding the
have.
ace king too often.
Safe there for
Pete,
Pete as 2 of the outs for Justin have been
Chop.
folded. So it's going to be 4
Where's
outs.
the chop?
Once
No
to send
chop.
Peter out the door.
Non-existent.
No chop.
Jackson versus Ace's hand is going to reward him as Peter doubles up.
One.
I believe we might have just been joined in the chat by Corey Van Jay's mum. So, hello, Misty.
Oh, that's
I believe. I'm so sorry if that's not correct.
actually funny in bringing that up. We had a lady in the chat watching the Cooper's final table. Came up as Sarah Feltham.
Yes.
We're like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is a relation. We're going to go
Yep.
with Mum. And she was very active in the chat. It was good to see.
I have a feeling that might be Cooper's sister, I believe.
Oh, no, I think she confirmed it was Mum.
Well, all right, I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, she confirmed in the chat unless she's having a lender.
No. Look, I trust her, not me.
It has been great, as always, having you in the booth. We do have a break in a minute. You're more than welcome to come around. You're more than welcome to go play the 450. Do what you like. So,
Okay, thanks.
we've got a break
2-3 fold.
in about a minute's time for 15 minutes, so don't go anywhere. At the very least, I'll be back to bring you the bubble coverage of the grind. Be with you until this tournament is over. It's going to be a late one, and we've got some big names in the field, but none more so entertaining than Elizabeth Busson. Over 1 million chips already.
Unreal.
As we do have some interaction as well. Duncan with the 8s. Justin does have Duncan covered with pocket 2s.
Covered in chips, of course.
Having them both covered would be our last hand before the break, and he's going to come with 3-bet. Love to see this from CVJ. Certainly in a mood today. He's looking to push people around. As we do confirm, was Corey's bum in the chat, and you've just tuned in time to see your son run. With our bluff here, right, 2 off the money. Let's see what Duncan comes with. Be a very nice hand to just rip into Corey, but we are 2 off the money. As I gave you a bum steer there, here for another 20 minutes.
All right.
I think.
Here I was looking ready to stop. I was just about done, and you reeled me back in.
We do have a break coming up, so we'll push through
you
20
play
minutes and
Why are
we
you
can go
talking
and
about
play
it?
the 450.
If you
All
3-bet,
right,
then you 4-bet.
deal. Cool.
We're chatting about Shelley, the ambassador on stream with us. Such a great interview. She was really keen
Better play
to
tonight.
do some breakdown and analysis, and we did not break down a single.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
It's not one we
Fair
spoke
enough.
about.
What? It was one throw.
How far off a
in
break on the
eight.
stream is it, Matt?
Oh, I didn't. You don't do it from there. You do it from here.
That's point and a half, I guess.
Oh, please. It's 2 points. I'm the scorer.
The umpire did.
You're up about 170 points.
What are the units worth?
I think I'm negative.
Rightio. We're back here. As I actually got that wrong again as well, Liam. But how about I lock you in till 8? There we go. I'll give you another 20 minutes, and you can go and play the 450.
Okay,
So
all right.
I don't want to lock you in here with us all day. As good as it is to have you in, as Liz takes a stab here with Ace Queen, but Justin will be going nowhere.
Oh, nope, no, my vision is just bad. Let's sweat it together, Spano.
Justin weighing up his options now. Folding isn't one of them. It does come with call. Of course, you might see. Oh, no, and Liz absolutely drills it on the river. Heartbreak for Justin. SBR is less than 1. And comes with another small size here. I thought we could have seen an all-in, putting max pressure on the bubble. As we've seen Justin do this before, throw all of the time banks into the middle. We actually did see him do this in the Goliath too.
That's still a lot.
And this is horrible for Justin because the flush draw has bricked off. And 75k from Liz might get her paid. Got her own style for sure, but with those clubs bricking off, especially when we have the ace of clubs, feel like this could have put this one in and put Justin to max pressure, but he would have snap folded because look how much pressure he's under from a 75k bet. Liz absolutely dominating the grind yet again, and yeah, it's going in. That's a call, and he's going to be filthy. He is. Double checks the cards.
He's just about sent him back to Sydney.
Queen what?
A race of players, any odd $1,000 chips in the middle.
As
4, 5.
Elizabeth
8, 12.
takes her lead to 1.3
How many
million.
$1,000 chips? Just the one? Right in the middle for me.
Unbelievable.
You got one.
it is. Probes the turn there versus Jacks. Drills it on the river. Now, if you
That's a question.
weren't watching the coverage during the Gold Coast Series last year, Liz actually came second to Dipper in the grind for around 30k, I'd say. And I sat down with Liz, hoping we can find that interview with Liz. It was from the Gold Coast Series last year, and just what a character, what a person she is, and that all comes out in that interview. She tells the story of how she started playing. She's been playing for longer than most of us in the room have been alive, and she talks all about that in the interview. I'm hoping the boys out the back can pull that up and we can put that interview on during the break. But that is the one and only Liz Busson.
Plenty of support in the chat for Liz. We've just been joined by Monica. We are huge fans of Elizabeth as well. So,
Yeah, you will.
hopefully you just saw it. She just won a significantly large pot.
Look how many chips she has?
It's
1.3
absurd.
million.
Yes, just under 100 bigs,
You're like that old guy in
which is so many. We are also big fans of Tiger as well. Hi. Since Tiger became a part of APT, he's definitely brought a lot to the tournament floor for sure.
Good to see you in the chat. Hi, one of probably the best ROI in the history of poker. Does Hi. Came second to Amin in the APL Millions main event this year in his first tournament, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
Actually, it might have been his second because I played with him earlier in the week. He's a lovely guy, and it's good to see you tuning in. I hope that $400,000 was not spent on Tiger Tie or anything like that, but hope you managed to keep all of that. It was amazing to get you to see Amin try and take you on heads up. It could have gone either way, but no harm in losing to Amin heads up in any tournament. We are still 2 off the money, so things are going to move a little bit slower, but really happy with the decision from APT to implement the time bank chips. They're not going to be going anywhere. And I get the feel generally the consensus around the poker community around the world is time bank chips are not only here to stay, they could be in a majority of tournaments moving down the track. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love to see it. To be honest, like, for anyone who's played with me, they know that I play pretty fast. So, you know, within reason, everyone is entitled to their time. But, yeah, look, some of the boys are dragging the chain quite a bit, pretty regularly, which makes it tough for everyone in the room. But it just is it's so much more enjoyable when the game's a bit quicker, you know. So
yeah,
but you know, it's well within your rules.
We actually saw it come into play deep in the Goliath, and actually we saw it come into play deep into the feature bounty as well. Every player ran out of time banks.
Yeah.
Cooper and Amin ran out of time banks. Thatcher ran out of time banks in the Goliath.
Yep.
But I did notice Toby, and he must be, I actually had a look at his record, does play a lot online. Toby at the FT had every single time bank. He hadn't used one time bank yet. So, like, it just goes to show that, you know, live players are thinking about a lot more, whereas, you know, Toby's probably more on, well, I won't say autopilot, but he's making those decisions a lot quicker because he's making quick decisions all day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably seen the same scenario 4 or 5 times in that week. You know, like, for a lot of the guys that are living in New Zealand playing online, you know, are...
Toby is Irish, so he'd be over. That's where he'd be playing from. But he obviously.
Brayden.
Can you play in Ireland?
I don't know, but I was making a joke. I know that...
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I know that he's Irish. I know that he's not from New Zealand. That was a joke. I don't know either. Anyway, we'll move on. I love Spano's hat. It's a blue hat. It's a beautiful hat. No, but I was lucky enough to head over to South Korea recently for the Poker Dream Tournament Series. Every tournament, once it, I believe it was once we hit late Rego and finish, time banks came in.
That's great.
For every event, and that was so good. It was. Oh, look at the flood of support for Liz in the chat.
1.3 million. I dare say any supporters of Liz are going to be around for a long night as she's going to be making a deep run into this one.
I reckon Johan suggested
Get the blankies ready. You might be here for a little while yet.
As I have got some information, we have managed to pull up my interview with Liz from last series. So we are on a break in about 22 minutes.
Yep.
And once we go on break, we will play that interview for you. So if you're a family member of Liz and you haven't seen it, or you're interested in her story, which is pretty incredible, stick around during the break. We'll play that right after. We've got a dinner break as well, so you know, as soon as we finish the coverage here into the break, you can see the clock at the back. We'll play that interview that I did with Liz last year. What an amazing human she is, and what a great player she is. Second in the grind last year, looking to go one better again this year.
Thanks, Connor.
So the time banks is not something that's really going to affect you going forward, you don't think?
No, you know, I mean, probably to a fault sometimes. I act pretty quickly, but I just kind of think that some decisions are very automatic. Like, you know, I might even have, you know, timing tells which I'm not aware of or whatever, but you know, it's not going to affect me too much. And the great thing is because I'm not too hasty to use them, when the time comes, you know, for example, a crucial moment where I've got a big decision, I've got plenty of time left. So, you know, in the same way that we spoke about Toby having all of his time banks on the final table, how valuable are they in those huge spots where there's pay jumps, you know, really imminent? And for the for the other boys
how close was that?
a bit more liberal
You
with
see
them.
it roll?
You
It
know,
rolled around the edge.
potentially, what we might see is in the future
Yeah.
is them being, using them later in the tournament rather than.
Come on, Liam. Name names. Names. I reckon we can say one person who we're not talking out of school because we have a crack at him about it all the time. But maybe we should.
No, look.
But Crilly, when you're making a decision, maybe just hurry up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Crilly's playing a $20 tournament at the Stafford Tavern on a Wednesday night with his dad.
He tanks though.
Yeah, he tanks. Yeah. He's under the gun with Jack 4-0, and he's not letting anyone in the room get a read.
It's actually how I met Crilly. His tanking is how I met him. It was a couple of years ago. We were in the main event at the Gold Coast, and we were in the money, and the pay jumps were like every three or four.
Yeah.
But it was like they were very small. They were like 100.
For the last couple of years, 2-3 years ago, Lachlan was playing 150s, he was playing 200s. He might shot take a 600,
Yeah. He's playing pub poker.
I remember that, fortunate enough to be quite close with him, and as many people are, he's one of the most well-loved in the community. His progression throughout the game is really a testament to, to his effort, and also, you can really edge your way through these pay jumps if you slow down and
I think
let me bubble as often as you do.
I think. This is something that card was exposed. Maybe we saw it, the rest didn't. This is not something that people should say, but something that everyone knows is like tanking is very profitable.
Yeah.
And there are other regulators that have really, really big events where 1,500 plus, where people are tanking for 10 to 15 minutes per decision, and we're dealing with $200,000-300,000 up top in those events.
Yeah.
So those players are just max tanking to get as much money out of the situation as possible.
Yeah.
And it is very profitable, and we are too off the money right now. We're not hand for hand. So doing it right now, if this was in a tournament that didn't have time banks, CVJ, for example, he'd just sit there until someone calls time.
Yeah,
he does it for a living as well. So,
to the other extreme, where the time banks aren't in play. In 2022, I was lucky enough to go to Vegas and I played in the World Series of poker and played the main event. One of the side events, we were on the bubble and there was maybe 400 players left. And there was, 10 to 15 floormen around the room looking after everyone.
The lethargic throw.
And the general consensus at the table was that when the floorman is called, you'll have a minute to play your hand.
I think we're all on.
But what we found was that they had just decided that wasn't going to be the case, and when the floor came over, you had 15 seconds left on your hand. And the next time you were called, your hand was dead. So
I just feel like
it's like
isn't it a much better use of resources to just bring time banks in instead of having 15 floormen coming around and giving people orbits?
It's just.
I've been pretty good for a double up so far.
It's amazing that.
I'll give you one more spin.
I think Corey's forgetting that he's just come back from 180k to 967. Oh, I'm pretty good for a double up. No, you're not, Corey. You've just doubled 3 times. What are you talking about?
He's being greedy, and his mum's watching.
Yeah,
come on.
He's showing off. But coming back to time banks, I don't think they can possibly be a negative. It's we've just had Father Time himself join us. Actually, come and pinch a lolly, Liam Jahu.
God, I remember that song.
A regular up here in the booth.
For a bloke that has as nice a watch as Liam does, he just generally has no idea what's going on most of the time.
I mean, you wouldn't think that if you watched the coverage of the Goliath, of course. Redefined the definition of chip in a chair this week, did Liam? one big blind into $27,000.
It's not bad.
As Liz looks to raise it up here with the pocket fours. Just an incredible effort from Liz with 1.3 million, 80 years of age. We aren't speaking out of school. She's very proud that she's 80 years of age, so we are allowed to say that on stream, but she is 80 this year, and she has 1.2 million chips. Yeah.
No. Pre-bubble orbit. I'll fight you for it. Well, I want to see where that's in the rules.
Oh, I've been waiting 18 years.
For this fight. But don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Yeah, that's right.
So what's the conclusion of our conversation there would be
Yeah.
the best use of them would be the time banks to come in after late reg is closed?
Yeah, I would think so. You know, there's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty vocal about it. I think that I really enjoyed the time banks in Asia when I was playing, and I've really enjoyed them this week here at APT as well. So I hope that some of the other operators around the country follow suit. But I know that it's not always the case that every operator operates the same way. So
It just seems to be the consensus for most regulators around the world currently.
yeah,
You know, so that seems to be the way the wind's blowing as Rob wakes up with Ace King. We are still 2 off the money, so that's why you're hearing us yap on a little bit. Play is a little bit slower. People trying to make their way into that min cash of about $2,500. As
Father Time joins us in the chat.
time banks, the argument against the time banks is they disadvantage recreationals, which is true, which is literally exactly the reason why someone like APL, for example, good friends of ours who have a lot of feeder tournaments from pub poker, have a lot of feeder a big recreational field. That's why they don't want to bring in time banks, because you want to kind of even out the playing field. So there is arguments both ways. I will say, selfishly, from a streaming perspective, time banks give us a lot better product to be able to stream to the viewers at home. As a heart here would be diabolical, would give Rob the nut flush draw, but it would give Spano the flush. Yeah, if you are just joining us, we've already spoken about Krill in regards to the tanking. There is a heart on the river, I reckon, from long range. Spano's called the heart in. We are 2 off the money. As the graphics just catch up a little. It is the 6 of hearts.
Rob has a pretty powerful heart in his hand, but given the spot that we're in, I can't imagine he sends it in.
No, the flop and turn's gone check. So
Yeah.
he might have some devious intentions here, Liam, as the time bank chip goes in.
Asking Spano to fold a flush is a tough ask.
He's giving the stare down, so I think bluff could be off the table. He might be looking to hero as those cards go into the muck. And Elizabeth still absolutely dominating here with 1.3 million. As Spano shows it.
As soon as you asked me for the 3, I could show it to you. I knew I could show it to you.
5-3.
It sounds like Rob asked to show a 3 and Spano was able to do it. But he'll know in 25 minutes time that he was drawing dead, as we are still 2 off the money. And we will be going hand for hand when our next player gets eliminated. So things will slow down a little bit, but as per usual for the grind, once we get into the money, chips start to fly. As Liam, I know that you've got a 450 to go and play, but you've been very generous with your time.
Thank you, mate.
And I really appreciate you coming up here. Seats always open for you if you're around. So good luck in the 450 and good luck with your 5 start stacks in the main tomorrow, or whatever that is, 4 start stacks.
Yeah,
it wasn't quite the 19 start stacks that Nathaniel Hutton bagged last year to take down the main event, but maybe 5's workable.
Yeah, we'll take 5. I've done plenty or more with less, so we'll see how we go.
No worries.
Thank you, mate.
All
Been
right.
a pleasure.
Yep, very much
Catch you
so.
around.
Thank you very much for coming up.
Good night,
Appreciate
guys.
it. Liam
Bye.
Murray, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, mate.
That's good. There's someone who's very short, less than 100.
Yeah. Shelley's down low too.
Oh, is she? There's quite a few shorties actually on this table, table 16. Bluegrass upstairs.
Restaurant.
It's a restaurant. Oh, actually, or we can do the dumpling place. Yeah. Have you had either of them?
As I think
No,
we're
the
back
restaurant
here.
upstairs is really good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, really good steaks.
And we are on a break now as we just get things back up and running right in the nick of time. We are on a 45-minute dinner break, but if, as I mentioned before, don't go anywhere if you're a fan of poker, you're a fan of Liz. We've dug up that interview. She's got 1.5 million chips here, the 80-year-old, and she is dominating here. We've dug up that interview between me and Liz from Gold Coast last year, so if you're a family member, you haven't seen it, or you're just a fan of Liz, stick around. That interview will be playing right after this hand on the break, and we'll be back with you in 45 minutes' time. See you then.
The dumpling place? Johan.
All right, here we are on day 7 of APT Gold Coast. We're here at the Gold Coast Champs, and what a final table we had last night on the grind. Taken out by Dipper for $45,000, but what is one of the best stories out of this table is Liz Bousson, who came second for $27,000 after satelliting in this very room for $180. Now, Liz, this is not even your first final table of the grind this year. I just had a look. You final tabled the grind back in January.
Oh, yeah.
For 8th. You remember that? 8th?
I was-
And then second today. What was your strategy like going into the final table? How did you come second?
Well, how can I explain that to you? I use my instinct. I study the people around me. I try not to take too many risks. I stay out of the game. I wait until the right cards. But sometimes my instinct tells me I can go for it, do something that I'm not supposed to do because the cards are not really there. But I still do it because I have the feeling that I'm going to get away with it.
Well,
That's
I commentated on the entire final table, and what you're telling me is completely true. From the top of my head, you ran 6 massive bluffs, and every time you got your opponent to fold the best hand. Every single time. If you had ace 5, they had ace 6. If you had queen high, they had ace high. So you must be. What are you looking at?
I'm
Are
a
you
bit
looking...
of a witch.
that actually makes sense. Some of the stuff that you were doing.
It works with very good players.
Yeah.
Because they are more cautious of what they're gonna do. And a bad player, he calls everything.
Yeah.
So also, I'm a woman, so a man doesn't.
Don't call as much as they should, do you think?
No, they bully you.
Okay.
But then suddenly I stop and I don't let them bully me anymore. And I'm the opposite then. I'm start to bully them.
Now, I had a little bit of a look at your record. You've been playing poker for some time. I saw an ANZ PT trophy back in 2010 in New Zealand.
Yeah, in New Zealand.
For about $15,000. So how long have you been playing for?
I would say Texas Hold'em. In 2003, I had a world ticket at 5 stops around the world. And my dream was to go to Las Vegas. So one of my stops were Las Vegas. And I had 4 days stop. And in 4 days, I think I slept 13 hours because I discovered that Texas Hold'em, that was wonderful.
Amazing.
Wonderful game. I was hooked straight away. And okay, I came back to Australia, of course, because I went first to Europe to see my family. And there was no poker here. So I waited until 2006, but I was always close to poker in here and tried to stay up to date with the poker. And there was no internet like now and nothing, but
Yeah.
anyway, it was still in here. And tried to find, can you play with friends or whatever, you know? And then came the World Championship in 2005 in Las Vegas, the World Series of Poker. And that wonderful man, Joe Hashem, from Melbourne, won it, and it was
Changed everything.
unbelievable. I would say, changed the life of the poker, because in Australia didn't exist practically before.
No.
And it's because of him that it happened. He wrote a book,
Yes.
and I wrote that book more than once, straight away about the books, and I was really full of admiration to Joe, and I'm still am.
That is amazing. That is just.
Yeah.
So, what I find more incredible than that story is something that we've got your permission to ask you about, is your age.
Oh,
That is.
okay.
We were stunned when you were heads up last night against Dipper, who's taken the Australian poker community by storm, that you are, in fact, 80 years old.
I just turned 80, yeah.
I'm absolutely stunned.
The day of the woman in the world, you know, the 8th of March, it's the day of the women in the whole world, that date.
International Women's Day.
And that's my birthday, that day.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so you've just turned 80.
Yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you a little
Stunned.
story about that.
Of course.
When I started to play poker, so in 2006, at that time I didn't look not even 40.
Barely look 40 now. That's why we're all stunned.
No. Very nice of you to be nice with me, but no. But at that time, anyway, I
Yeah.
was young, very young. I'm still young here.
Of course. You
And
still are,
my
obviously.
body is scrambling a bit, but I ignore it, and I keep my mind. That's the most important.
Do you find that poker is keeping your mind sharp when you
Yes, of
play all the
course,
time?
of course.
Yeah.
Not only, mainly the poker, because that's what I'm focused the most.
Yeah.
But also I do Sudoku.
Of course.
Yeah,
Every
all
day in the
time.
paper.
Oh yeah, no, I have a book. When it's full, another book.
And what are your plans going to be from now on? Are you going to keep playing? Are you going to go anywhere to play? You're
Until
going
I
to stay in
kick the
Queensland
bucket.
You are unbelievable.
But before, when I was playing poker, so in Cairns, of course, for years, and nobody knew my age. I always hid my age, and nobody imagined that I was much older than them.
No.
And I was feeling ashamed to be older, you know. And it's only now, since I am 80, that I am proud of myself, instead of being ashamed of being old and nobody has to know.
Yeah.
See, I changed my attitude completely, and that makes me feel happier.
Unbelievable. What I'm speechless. I was speechless at some of the bluffs that you ran last night, which were just incredible. You got everyone to fold a better hand. It's amazing to hear your story, your age, how long you've been playing for, how you started playing. You're an inspiration, to say the absolute least, to be able to come here and go heads up at the age of 80.
But I am with my motorhome, because I am a grey nomad. And I'm traveling around.
My God, we could sit here and talk about that for another.
So many more things to tell you.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us and telling us that just incredible story at the age of 80 years old, going heads up against Dipper in the grind. You final tabled it back in January. You just have an incredible story. Thank you so much for sitting down with us. Hope to see you on more final tables for the rest of the year.
I hope so.
All
And I
right.
will change my strategy.
Of course you will. See, that's why you keep
Because
making.
now everybody knows, so
That's why you keep making final tables. It's so clever. So thank you so much for sitting down with us.
thank you.
Cheers.